Frankie from Flatbush reporting from Frankie from Flatbush headquarters on the New England Patriots. That's right, it's Patriots week after all. And on Thursday night, we got to play these gosh darn Patriots, our hated rivals. And so, that being the case, I thought we should probably take a look at these Patriots and see what they've been up to, what's going on. There's a whole new regime over there. They got rid of Mr. Billy Belly, and he gone, and they put into place Mr. Gerard Mayo, the mayonnaise man, and in his place. And so he's taking over the head coaching job. And so I thought we would take a look at what's going on with these Patriots. Now, they're 1-1. We're 1-1. They hung tough with the Seattle Seahawks and lost in overtime in week 2. And they beat the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1 in an upset. So that's the general thing of what's going on. So let's see what's actually happening with these Patriots as we try to share our screen here and go to take a look at what's happening. Let's see. All right. Now, here's what the team looks like. Okay, the head coach, Mayo. Offensive coordinator is Alex Van Pelt. Now, he comes from the West Coast offense tree, so they may be doing something a little bit different offensively than they have done in the past. Defense coordinator, DeMarcus Covington. And special teams, Jeremy Springer. All right, here's what their team looks like on offense right here. Their wide receiver core so far is not too good, though they have a lot of potential. A lot of young guys here. Baker and Polk are the rookies. Baker from UCF hasn't been getting a lot of playing time yet. He's a Frankie favorite. Osborne they got from Minnesota. Pop Douglas, they took him in 23 in the 6th round. He's been surprisingly good. Ty Thornton they took in 22 in the 2nd round. He's been surprisingly bad and injured. And Kayshon Boutte was a guy who slipped in the draft. He used to be a high prospect. Fell all the way to the 6th round. Hasn't really done much so far in his career. So this is sort of an underwhelming wide receiver crew with a lot of upside. A lot of people like Jalen Polk as a prospect. I like Javon Baker as a prospect. Pop Douglas, they call Demario Douglas, they call him Pop, P-O-P, for whatever the reason. And he's been surprised, he's flashed some in his career so far. KJ Osborne is sort of like a fungible wide receiver. Now, the problem on this team, the main problem, is right here with this offensive line. Not very good. We're going to take a closer look at this, but basically, the only one who's any good out of this crew, at least so far right now, is David Andrews. You could say, what about Michael Onwenu? I thought he was good. Yeah, he has played good in the past, but this year is not so much done so. They say Lowe is injured, Sal injured. Michael Jordan played for them last game. Lowe has played 2 games. He must have got injured in his last game because, if this is accurate, that is. This is ourlads.com. Because he does have 2 games played. And so this line needs a lot of work, at least from what we've seen so far. Now, where they are good is this tight end combo is very good. Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. They play 2 tight ends quite a bit. They play 3 tight ends, even with Jaheim Bell, this guy they got in the 7th round here. So they're going to use the tight ends quite a lot. You're going to see a lot of Hunter Henry in the game. You're going to see a lot of Mr. Austin Hooper in the game, okay, as they try to especially help out this struggling offensive line. Now, their quarterback is Jake Brisket, okay, and they drafted Drake May, and it's not May time yet in Mayoville, but it may soon be. But we'll have to see. And I think he made a great decision, actually, to sit Drake May, because if you try to play Drake May behind this offensive line, you're asking for trouble, especially with young and unproven wide receivers as well. Not a good situation for Drake May, so just sit him on the bench. Sit over here, young man, and learn. Let Jacoby Brissett be attacked, behind this line, and let him run for his life. Now, the other place they're strong, of course, is with Stevenson, one of the most underrated running backs in the league. I don't know why people continue to underrate this guy. He's very, very good. And they also have Antonio Gibson from Washington that they picked up, another good backup running back here, but not much depth beyond that. Dre Stevenson will be the bell cow. He will do everything. We're going to get so much Dre Stevenson, it's not even going to make your head spin over here because they're going to run him, they're going to throw it to him, they're going to do everything with this guy. It's going to be the Dre Stevenson and Hunter Henry show on Thursday. You can count on that. Now, defensively, where are they? They had some bad luck with injuries. They had to trade, of course, Judon, and they had Barmore get injured, and a couple others, I think. So they've had some bad injuries, so not as strong as they otherwise would be, but this is still a strong unit, and the guy we need to watch out for is this one right here, Keon White. You may not know who Keon White is. But he's an up-and-comer. He showed some flashes as a rookie, but now he's really starting to dominate. And so we really got to watch 99, Keon White. He's going to be trouble and problems. And if we hold him down, we'll probably be in good shape. They also have Dedrick Wise. I don't know why he's listed as a backup here. But Mr. Wise is also very good and underrated. They also have some guys that just kind of clog up the middle. Quale, Godshaw, and so forth. The linebacking core is not as strong as it usually is, especially with Judon, who's technically a linebacker. They also got bad news this week about Jawan Bentley, who's also an excellent linebacker. He's out for the year, so they're getting some bad injury luck, unfortunately. And so this crew is okay, but not particularly awesome. And then the back end. Now, what's going to be interesting to see, I think, going forward with the Patriots in general, Bill Belichick and his crony over there, Nick Saban, are known for their ability to coach, in particular, the defensive backs. And if you remember, the defensive backs on New England are always amazing. And a lot of times they, like a J.C. Jackson, they go to other teams and they're not so amazing. And it kind of tells you, well, the way they're teaching it or the scheme, the way they scheme it up or some combination thereof is making these guys have better production than they normally would. And J.C. Jackson's a perfect example of that. I'm sure there are others. So these guys are considered very good. Marcus Jones is the speedy guy that they use on special teams sometimes. Christian Gonzalez is the big draft pick that they got that they were thrilled to get. He played better as a rookie, but then he got hurt, and now he's hasn't played that great so far this year. But he's a very good prospect, and we'll see how much that knee injury maybe is holding him back at the moment. Maybe he'll get better as the season goes on. Kyle Duggar is excellent safety, so Jabril Peppers is good. Then you also have Jonathan Jones. You have all these Joneses in the backfield of the defense. Special teams, probably nothing to speak of there. So those are the players that they have. They picked up, interestingly, on the practice squad, just looking if they have anybody interesting here, they picked up Jacqueline Roy. I thought the Jets might be interested in him, but they picked him up. Interesting guy out of LSU. He might fit our system better than he does theirs, interestingly enough. But you can see here that these are their injured dudes. Bentley's a dude. Cole Strange is a starting lineman. Kendrick Bourne, the wide receiver. Barmore. All these guys injured. And they picked up this guy, Chuks Okafor. This is a guy from the Steelers. And they thought he was going to be, a starting tackle for them. Well, guess what? He left the team. He said, this isn't for me anymore. I'm going to go start a deli. Or something. I don't know what he's doing, but he's not into football anymore. Kind of like Hassan Reddick. He just doesn't want to play football, I guess. Not everybody wants to. Seems like a good profession to me, but it's not for everybody, I guess. And Chuks said, see you later. So he kind of left the team, strangely enough. So those are the players on the team here. But how have they been graded by PFF, for example? Well, here we go. Here's the offense. And as you see, Dre Stevenson, probably their best player, I would say. and we're going to get a heavy, heavy dose of him. Then you got Hunter Henry up here. We're going to get a heavy dose of him. Antonio Gibson is the backup running back. Austin Hooper is going to get lots of play as well. They're going to do tons of 12 personnel for sure. Now, David Andrews is a good center, and he's graded out as such. But beyond that, their line is not grading out well at all. And you see here, Jake Brissett, he is what he is. He's a decent quarterback who can do some things, but isn't, elite by any means, but he's not terrible either, somewhere in the middle. And what you see here is Chooks was not well rated before he decided to leave the team. Lowe, not so good either. And Michael Jordan, not so good either. And this guy, Layden Robinson, the guard, not so good either. And Michael Onwenu, who should be better than this, kind of a grade, should be much better than this and this. So maybe he'll start to play better. Who knows what's going on with Onwenu. He's a good player, but hasn't been graded as such so far. But these other guys are kind of like, they need to improve the roster in this area greatly. And you knew that was the case when Coach Mayo said at the end of training camp that one of the starting tackle jobs may not be on our roster right now, which is really a stunning admission that you're going to go searching the waiver wire for a starting caliber tackle. Those are hard to come by. But that's when you knew that probably the line was in a little bit of trouble, when the coach goes, oh yeah, this is one of the starting positions. We got to find him on the waiver wire. Ooh, that is not a good place to be. So that's probably where they need to improve the most, in the coming years. Their draft picks are almost certainly going to be lots of them on the offensive line, you would think. But right now, that's where they are. Now, you would naturally say, okay, well, great. Our defensive line is going to dominate their offensive line. They stink. They're not good. We're going to dominate, right? This is going to be great news, right, Frankie? Well, not necessarily, because the Patriots also know this is the case. They know that their line is struggling right now. They're not stupid. So they're going to do things to mitigate against this. They're going to run 12 personnel a lot, maybe even some 13 personnel to help out the line, for one thing. For another thing, they're going to use quick game, which is great against our style of defense anyway. So they're going to run a lot of quick game. They're not going to have Jacoby Brissett sit back there in 7-step drops waiting for Will McDonald to take his head off. That's not going to happen. It's going to be 3-step drops. It's going to be quick check downs to the running back with Stevenson, and so forth and so on. He's going to hit his tight ends in the middle real quick. You're going to see out in the flat, things like that. So we got to be ready for that. They're not going to just let us tee off. They know that the line is struggling. You could look at this. You could look at these numbers and see what's going on. We're going to take a look at the film here in a second also to confirm. But you can see what's going on just from these grades. And Mayo's no dummy. He's not going to let us just, come after Brissett with our ferocious pass rush. Well, allegedly ferocious. He's not going to let us do that. So he's going to do a lot of screens, a lot of quick game, a lot of check downs to the running back, a lot of quick passes to the tight ends. Let them get what they can get. And we better have our tackling on point because, Stevenson's a load to tackle. If you're not on point with your tackling, he's hard to get down. So we better have our tackling problems solved when we're talking about Stevenson. He will run your ass over, okay? Hunter Henry's the same way. This is a big load of a dude. Austin Hooper's more of the athletic type, but he's athletic, so he can break tackles that way. Hunter Henry will run over you. He's a big magula. You better know how to tackle him, okay? And better be gang tackling. There's none of this running away from contact. You better go and hit these dudes because they're big and they will run over you. All right, so that's what's going on there. All right, so what about their defense, though? That's just the offense. What about the defense? Let's get rid of this. Here's the defense. So I mentioned already Keon White. He's their top-graded defender. This dude is something else. And look at his pass rush grade. And look at this. He's gotten already 8 pressures and 5 sacks. This is a dude that's coming on. Finding himself, coming on. And he's hard to handle. So if we are able to keep him down and we don't see him, hitting Rodgers and so forth throughout the game, that'll be good news for our offensive line. But he's a problem. Okay, Quale, I don't know too much about him. He must be their nose tackle. I don't actually know too much about him. You can see the Jones boys highly rated again. So maybe the teachings of the defensive backs that Belichick left behind, maybe Mayo is continuing to do that. Dedrick Wise, he's a very solid player. Then you come down here. So Christian Gonzalez struggling a little bit. I mean, this isn't terrible grades, but not exactly lighting it up. Same thing with Kyle Duggar. So you have to wonder what's going on with Kyle Duggar. This is normally an excellent player. Not very highly graded so far. I mean, it's not terrible, but not up to his standard, I think. Then you got to wonder about Josh Uche. This is a guy who rushes the passer well normally. Good pass rush grade, but overall not so good. Marco Wilson, I guess he's a backup. Bentley's out of the picture now. So this is who they got. Raekwon McMillan, okay, Anthony Jennings. But it'll be a good test of our offensive line against these dudes. We always historically have struggled in the past few years, but we haven't had as good a line as we have now. Let's take a look at their special teams, just in case there's something to look at here. Jelani Tavai grading out very well. Nicely done, Mr. Tavai. Brendan Schoolers, their specialist, grading out high. Good job there. Nothing much else to see. Let's take a look at their passing. Let's see what Jacoby Brissett's been up to. Okay, Brissett 58.8, no bueno. That's got to get higher. And you can see here, we can do a little bit of a comparison to Rodgers, kind of to see, normally you wouldn't compare Brissett to Rodgers and think that Brissett's going to come out favorably, but we have Rodgers coming off an injury at a certain age. So you can see he's got no big-time throws at all. And only one turnover-worthy play. Rodgers has 2 or 3 big-time throws already, and no turnover-worthy plays, I believe. So that's good news. And another thing that we want to look at is time to throw. TTT. Now, as we've been looking at, in terms of the Jets, you want that number to be 2.5 or less, and you notice here it is not. So Brissett is not, in these first 2 games, doing a good job getting the ball out. Now, they may have had a different kind of game plan against the teams that they played against. Against us, I think he's going to get rid of it quick. That's what I think. But it also could be that he's running for his life behind that terrible line, and that's causing him to hold the ball, trying to, run for his life. So 3.23 is way too high, but there can be many, many reasons for that. And it just suggests that there's a problem with the passing game, which also tells you they're going to run it down our throats, as that's a weakness of ours. And look at the problems they're having. You can't get up to even 59% completion percentage. All right, he's not throwing the ball downfield. His ADOT is about 6.7. That's not terrible, but, let's clear this out here. What do we got here? Yards per attempt, 5.3 is a little low. So they're not throwing downfield. He's only got 1 touchdown in the 2 games, but no interceptions. And that's kind of what you get with Brissett, game manager type. And he can beat you. You can't underestimate Jake Brisket, but he's not spectacular either. But but he's not going to beat himself too much. He can run when needed. Okay, he's not Lamar Jackson or anything, but he can beat you with his legs. And if you remember that game a couple of years ago against Cleveland when he was starting for Cleveland in the miracle comeback we had in that game, all throughout that game, he was beating us with his legs. He was doing a great job of that. So especially if you're in man coverage, he's going to beat you with his legs because he's smart enough to recognize that and do that. Let's see. Let's take a look at their blocking. So their pass blocking efficiency grades, these are very, very poor. If we sorted for this, boy, oh boy. This guy was playing terrible before he left the team. This is an unbelievably horrible grade. Layden Robinson, this is bad, decent, good. So they're going to look at, so they're looking at this going, whoa, boy, we got a problem. 20, look at this, 27 pressures allowed in 2 games. No good, no bueno. So they're going to have a game plan for this. They're going to say, okay, we got a problem here. We better, there's going to be 2 tight ends on the field a lot, I guarantee you. 12 personnel is going to be the plan, I think. They got 2 good tight ends, might as well help. It looks like these guys need help, and they think they're going to help. So that's no bueno. Now, from their point of view, what about the run blocking? Let's just sort this for this and see how they're doing. Well, they're doing better here. I mean, well, still. Hunter Henry, Michael Jordan, Owenu. I don't know what's going on with Owenu. Maybe he just had a couple of bad games. He's normally better than this. But Darian Lowe, boy, oh boy. Well, that's what I think. So they got some problems. So let's go into the film room and see how they're going to attack us next. So here we are in NFL Pro Plus Premium A plus Premium Premium. And we've sorted sorted this out from the game they just played against the Seahawks. And I sorted this for rushing plays inside the tackles because I think that's how they're going to attack us. We have a natural problem against these inside zone and duo blocking plays. It's a natural problem against our type of defense, and everyone knows that now. So, and you see, even against the Seahawks, who have traditionally run something similar to what we do, they ran 15 of these type of plays. That's a lot. These are just inside the tackles, not the outside runs. And they ran 15 of those. So we're going to get a heavy dose of this. They're going to say, okay, they're just like the Seahawks pretty much. They're like the 49ers. They're like the Browns. Let's just run this. This is their kryptonite. We got a back. We got, we got offensive line problems with pass blocking. So let's just run these. Here's Brissett. We got 12 personnel here. So here's your 12 personnel. Here's Hooper. Here's Hunter Henry. Wide receiver, Dre Stevenson. And they're just going to run it up the middle. And you see they do a nice job carving this out. Now, this player here should make the tackle, but doesn't. Just barely. Stevenson breaks the tackle and gets a nice gainer. We're going to see this over and over and over, where they're going to have condensed splits, tight end, condensed splits tight to the, and they're just going to want to block up our middle. Look at this, block. He's going to get out to the linebacker. And here comes Henry to help out here. And this defensive lineman has to make this play. He's the only one who can. And he's there, but Dre is just a little too quick. So it's going to be Dre Day all day Thursday. Just get ready, Dre Day. All right, next play, similar. Except here we got 11 personnel, but we got a wide receiver tight to the formation. Look at these condensed splits. Now we got 2 wide receivers tight. Condensed splits. Everybody near the line. Block it. Boom, up the middle. This is what we're going to see all day. And Chuck Clark, you better be in your run fits and you better make tackles because they're going to take care of your defensive linemen. Kinlaw and Quinnen are going to get doubled, both of them, a lot of times. And then they're going to come off and take our linebackers out. So that leaves a lot of times your safety in the hole. And ours is Chuck Clark, and Chuck Clark's forte is supposed to be tackling. It's what he's supposed to do. In particular, I had one last week. He was in the hole. He was there. It was perfect, and he missed the tackle. You cannot miss tackles, Mr. Clark. You're there for that. Look how tight these wide receivers are to help out with blocking. Look, double team. Then he comes. It gets off of him when he's dealt with. Now you go block the linebacker. Boom. Nicely done. But, and that's a decent gain there. All right, now we got a guy out wide in a wide split. We got the tight end over here, but we got another wide receiver in here as tight. Bring him over. Now, even in shotgun, now they like to run out of shotgun. Now, look how spread out the defense is. We got 4 down linemen, you know. So now, if you can get these guys blocked, looks like a good opportunity to run. Look how big this hole is, and look what happens. This is not Dre Day. This is Antonio Gibson. He missed his opportunity, in my opinion. Stick your foot in the ground right here and go this way. Instead, he runs right into traffic. No bueno. I think if he looked at that on tape, he'd be like, yeah, I should have probably cut it to my left. That's Antonio Gibson. It's not Dre Stevenson, who's better, obviously. He's the starter. But they open it up nicely. They take care of everything. All he had to do is come here, and he had a big gainer, but he didn't. But this is what they're going to do all game long. Down by the end zone, again, a tight split in here, tight split here. Now this is Ty Thornton. He's very thin. You can recognize him easily. Bring close to the. So you see, they want to bring more guys in to block, in tight to the formation. Keep this guy out here just by running a little route. That time, good job by the Seahawks. But you can see look how tight he is here. They're kind of using these wide receivers as pseudo tight ends, even when they're not in 12. Here's Hunter Henry. And then they bring another one in. Jalen Polk, he wants to block him. Boom. Does he do a good job? No. Is it a nice effort, though? Yeah. Anytime you have your wide receiver trying to make this kind of a block, that's a good job. Was it effective? No. But he was in the right place. He was doing the right thing. Probably just didn't have the play strength, and this guy overwhelmed him. But he tries. Look, he gets knocked back. That's not a good block by Jalen Polk, but he's trying, right? At least he's putting the effort in. You got to get your base set, Jalen. You can't. He's knocking him off kilter. Come on now. And the guy comes in and makes a play. So I think the coaching point there is going to be, Jalen, get your feet set. Otherwise, you're going to get your head knocked off. He's probably thinking the same thing. He knows. Or he's just adjusting his helmet. Now look at this thing. They got the whole freaking team on the line. And the Seahawks don't really respond to it. I mean, look at this formation. This is what they're going to do. The Patriots know they got to just basically overwhelm us with bigs. And they try, and there goes Dre, and that's a nice gainer. This is what we're going to see. Bigs, 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 I think. And when bigs are not on the field, you're going to see quick game. Because they're not going to let Brissett just sit back there like a sitting duck. Little bit of hole. That's Dre's good vision there. Good job by Stevenson. So that's what we're going to see. This is what we're going to see. And it's going to be annoying if we can't stop it. If they're running it up the middle and it's like boom, 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 they're getting 10-yard game, 12. We're going to be screaming at the television set. I'll tell you that much. All right, so there you go. That's the Patriots. That's what they're going to do to us. Can we stop it? Can we make the adjustments? Can Saleh and Ulbrich learn from their previous games, understand how we're going to be attacked, and adjust and make those tactical adjustments to stop it? We got to be in our run fits, including Chuck Clark. I would put a heavy box, challenge Brisket to beat us with his arm. We cannot let Dre Stevenson beat us. The plan should be take Dre Stevenson out of this game to the extent that you can. He's the best player on the whole team, probably at this point, with the losses they've had on the defensive side. So that's what we got to do. All right, so let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Give it a thumbs up on the algorithm. Do that. Click the bell. Click every button you see. Click them all. We're trying to grow this channel up to 200 subscribers. If we can get there, that'd be a fun thing. We used to have a lot more subscribers, but then we nuked the channel because things happen in life. And now we're trying to get it back up to where we were. So I'd appreciate your help with that if you could subscribe. Click the little button. It's free. And I will see you next time.